here. Tuesday, the 4th of March, 2020. So we have some news apparently. Video game industry, like most of the world, hasn't stopped. Humanity may have slowed down, but the world has not stopped. The
Nope.
world does not care. So let's start with the news. We're gonna, instead of being like, oh, talk about anything topical and expand on that, I'm gonna basically gripe with Chapelmon's help about Fallout 4 and the story. I know it's an old game, but I think like anything else, there's a reason why this channel is called Lessons Learned. Is because I play games, learn some lessons, and try to discuss them and share them with you. So let's get started. We'd start with PC Gamer. Team Fortress 2 is under attack by bots and not the fun kind. This is by Tyler Wilde, 17 hours ago on PC Gamer. So yesterday, casual matchmaking has been suffering from lag bots that crash servers. Reports of Team Fortress 2 crimes spiked over the weekend, with widespread accounts of lag bot invasion ruining casual matchmaking. Malicious bots are not new to TF2, but these bots are especially frustrating because not only do they rack up kills with automatic aiming, they also crash servers when they need players to kick them. Wow. Based on the state of TF2 subreddit, which now features a mega thread just for discussion about the bots, the problem was not minor. March was honestly the calm before the storm. So we're in April, by the way, I forgot. Not March 4th, we're April 4th. Right under Derpy Einstein. April is 10 times worse, and it was 2 weeks ago. I mean, I don't know why people do this, to be honest, other than being trolls. You know, it's like, let people play, you know? Don't be a dick. Why are you doing this? I guess because you can. You're being a hacksaw. Flexing your computing muscle. Yeah, you took a code from some site and just personalized a little bit. You didn't do, you know. My heart goes out to actual, honest players.
Yeah, I don't know much about TF2, but it always sucks when you get invaded, when any kind of game gets invaded by bots.
According to John Irwin, creator of TF2 podcast Chris Cast, tells PC Gamer that he was personally hit by, end quote, script kiddies and their lag bots 2 or 3 times a day while playing the game. He knows that the only way to deal with cheating bots has been to vote kick them, but because the bots crash the server before being kicked, there's nothing players can do. It's not good feeling knowing that you're powerless to do anything about it. So the thing about these bots is not, it's like literally they come in, they play dirty, and then they literally take their virtual ball and go home when they get kicked out, when they get called out. So yeah, this is trolling 301. That's what basically it is. That's what I could say. Um, so next news. This is from PC Gamer as well. About a day ago, Overwatch pros fined $1,000 for talking about big dick in chat. Tom Senior. I mean, hey, you gotta keep it PG on the PC for the kids. You know, come on. You know what I'm saying? Blizzard has fined Los Angeles Valiant's Jungwon Moon, aka Lastro, and San Francisco Shock's Dongjun Rascal King $1,000 for some bantering that's literally broadcast on Twitch on the whole world during an Overwatch League match. Lastro opened and proceeded by writing sex, then pushing deeper into the bands he typed big dick. We're quoting here, Twitch, by the way. He made Matthew Super Delisi, then pointed out that the whole world would can see the match at, but that didn't deter Rascal from responding with big dick and serious onto a penis. If you squint, or 3 Pac-Mans trying to eat a ghost. Super Noble intervened with Stop My Gravy Ship with the party laughing my ass off. Thought they got hit with $1,000.
Okay.
I mean, Blizzard is trying to protect their image, right? I don't call Blizzard the Disney of video games for nothing. And this is another example, right?
Yeah, so I wonder if this is gonna set like a bad precedent. Like, oh, you can't. What if they start charging the players next, or I guess, trollish behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is kind of immature. It reminds me of like this game
Mm-hmm.
that in high school, like two people would start just like yelling penis at each other ever so loudly each time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like immature, and I guess it doesn't bring anything to it. But so it was it the players that were playing at the time that
No,
were
it was
in the
commentator. There was some other player, and they were in
oh
chat, and they jump in and started,
hmm.
doing this. So, I mean, they are pro players, right? But um,
Yeah, I guess it's not a behavior that like any kind of official should probably be doing while on the job, or even if it's like they're not on the clock necessarily, you still represent the brand.
yeah, but
It's just like if it's sort of like if you get off of work and go somewhere straight from work still wearing your uniform, even though you're not on the clock, you're still representing people, your company or your organization. So you got to be careful what you do while you're wearing your uniform.
pretty much, yeah. In other news, from another corporation, the Edge browser is now more popular than Firefox. This is by Alan Dester, also on PC Gamer. Although it already kind of Chrome is the only one way to go before worrying about actual Chrome. I just brought it in because it's like,
Edge,
yeah,
the
Microsoft just keeps going. When it comes to browsers, Microsoft just keeps rising out of the grave and go like, oh my god, please use. Nobody cares, Microsoft. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so some of my computers at work, and mostly like the tablets that have been converted that have their own docking stations, are being used as
Mhm.
PCs. Use a Microsoft Edge, and it's a garbage browser. Like it won't work with certain functions for us.
Mhm.
I had to like go in there manually change it to like don't use that. Internet Explorer is somehow better than. It might be more of a testament to our outdated systems that we use and stuff, and
Well,
but like Internet Explorer works better than Microsoft Edge.
also, because I've done migrations and office style side installations, basically what you get is the basic package. Unless the business owner, one of two things, they buy the computers like off the shelf, in which they get a bunch of junk, you know, software that
Yeah,
gets
all,
pre-installed,
all the all the
all the crap,
bloatware.
all the bloatware from from Costco or whatever, uh, or they install specific software packages. Right? Usually, at least where I work, like I worked before, local companies that like, oh yeah, I'll script you like a version of whatever you need for your employee, and that's about it. Right? The employees only use that. So whatever's left is just there, right? So if it's Edge because it's what comes bundled with the latest version of Windows, right?
Yeah,
Nobody's bothered to install a new browser. So
yeah, it's like the default, and I think it's the average people that just buy a tablet and don't know much much
mm,
about browsers and stuff. And well, hey, if Edge is satisfying their needs, even if
mm-hmm.
there is something better, and they're not needing to go out and seek out another browser, I guess that's a testament to the simplicity, I guess, of what people need, or what they're, I guess, willing to settle with.
I mean, let's be honest. What's really happening, if you need to search for anything and you're at work, 99 times out of 100, this is what you're going to do. Pull out your phone or pick up your phone from the desk, type on, Google, like, oh, Google, I want to find out about, the sale at Amazon. And you do it there, right? You don't even do it through your computer, right? So it's, in a way, it shows it's a strategy from a bygone era, right? This is from the 1990s, where being the dominant browser on PC on the screen, because that was the machine you primarily use, was essential. It's still important, but most people have Android phones or they have you know Apple phones, so they have their own browsers, their own thing, and They're not gonna use. They're not. Most people use most of the searches. I think. Even I'm here, and most of the time I just pick up my phone and use the phone, which is weird since I'm literally standing in front of a computer and I have like dozen tabs open for whatever, and I still use my phone. So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of prefer like the luxury of when I need to look up something and I'm on the couch to look it up on my phone instead of like getting up to my PC a few feet away. Just because even though it'd be more convenient to look stuff up on a desktop, it's I guess even more convenient to use a slightly inconvenient device but readily available. Just because I don't want to get up from the couch.
I even sometimes I use voice recognition, like search for this, which I usually don't even bother. I can do it in the computer, but I turn it off. But it's like, yeah, and we're in the future using voice recognition software. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet. Even though we kind of have the technology for it, we're not.
I actually use it quite a bit on my phone, but you have to be very careful. Like, look for this. Sometimes it goes like, what? Like, never mind.
I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah. Or actually turns on. It's like, do you want me to search for something? It's like, I haven't even touched you. Stop spying on me. Everything. Which I should turn off. But in other news of virtuality of the future, Finland's Pro Hockey League moves in its playoffs to NHL 20. I'm bringing this up because it's another example of people going virtual to play video, like real life sports. And most of the stuff is done for just to keep interest alive, but it kind of shows that people are doing. This is a game from PC Gaming. Andy Schalk. The coronavirus outbreak has taken a serious toll on esports and conventional sports alike, forcing to shut down major tournaments and entire league seasons to flatten the curve. Leagues like NHL, which would have been entering the playoffs in April, are hoping to wait it out. Others, like Major League Baseball, are reportedly trying to figure out how to play while the pandemic is ongoing. Finland has decided to do things a little differently. As the most popular sport in the country, fans were understandably distressed when the outbreak forced a cancellation of Liga, top-tier Finnish hockey league. So the league decided that it will continue with the action after all. Liga has, with two eyes, by the way, instead of Liga in Spanish, one eye. Talking about that last week with the Spanish football teams. Has partnered with Telia, a broadcaster and esports company in Finland, for a full slate of Liga E playoffs in 2020. So, yeah. Another sport that has gone virtual. Not really gone virtual, but I mean, again, this might be an area where video games really are expanding, and the impact. I mean, they can judge the fact that so many people own a version of this, that they might be familiar enough with the game that they might want to see it and actually make money, because let's be honest, it's about money, right? That people might want to see professional players play virtually. It's an interesting phenomenon, and I think in one that might continue, sort of like off-season kind of thing. I mean, I know that like football players get, every time there's a new Madden come out, the football players are brought out for to play the game and make comments about it. But really, this might be a situation where might be ongoing, right? And I find it interesting, very interesting. Now to talk about a game that I lambasted a lot, but keeps trying to get me to play it. I'm thinking actually I will play it one of these days, because now No Man's Sky has freaking mechs. This is my Mike Fahey of Kotaku. That's right, it has giant robots, and everybody who watches the channel knows that I like giant robots, and I will not lie. Hello Games continues to quest about every cool science fiction theme possible procedural space in No Man's Sky with free update 2.4 Exomech, which gives players access to giant effing palatable mechs and other things are mainly mechs. Mechs can jump, they're immune to planetary hazards, they feature immersive cockpits for those playing No Man's Sky in virtual reality, they can be deployed to a planet surface from players' freighters. More importantly, they look super cool. Yeah, it actually kind of looks like a pretty cool exploration design. This is more like a combat design, which is with the idea of the game. Along with massive metal walkers, the exomech updates includes improvements to existing exocraft, including better scanners and solar panels to keep them charged. New graphic options give players more flexibility in how infinite space is rendered. Base builders will have the option to hide wiring, and those playing some consoles can remove limits on basic performance. So they keep working on it, and you know this might be the game that the exception that proves the rule, right? Like for every game out there that should just die, Anthem, you have a No Man's Sky. It's like sure. Of course, their strategy is not to charge for everything that that they put out there. So there's that. They charge for the original game, of course, which they probably keep on selling.
Yeah. Well, so I think this almost feels like it kind of puts Anthem in a precarious situation because it seems like they were trying to go for like the whole No Man's Sky overhaul of tactic, but now you have here No Man's Sky. Ooh, mech suits. So why do we need Anthem again now? Especially since you can't fly out in space, and it's not like you can bang any of the characters, I guess, in Anthem. So you can't do that in No Man's Sky, as far as I'm aware, either. So might as well go for the more developed game, I guess.
Yeah. And another weird news, this is from Luke Plunkett on Kotaku. Super Mario Bros. 64's glitchy smoke has been fixed after 24 years. Again, talking about fixing things way after. I mean, Super Mario 64 was and still is a beloved game from the era, so just there. For all this time, all the decades we've been playing Mario Super 64 with a visual glitch. The smoke that comes off Mario's butt when you catch fire is broken. Yep, turns out that MS Paint looking effect we're so used to isn't how the smoke is supposed to look. Rather, after some poking around the code and thanks to recent efforts to compile the entire game, a patch coded for Super Mario 64 has been released by Soink Noise that restores the effect of how it was originally intended. Turns out the texture is displayed in the wrong format by the game, resulting in black garbage pixels. The fix simply corrects the error by displaying the texture correctly as proper transparent smoke. It does not add any new art. The texture is being inside the ROM all. Here's what it looked like in 1996. This is what it's supposed to look like after the patch. Put it on the link so you can see it. Yeah, I mean, for all the talk about Nintendo being so harsh on people who mod games and all that, then they come up with stuff like this, and you're like, Nintendo, if you were smarter, you would actually. Well, if Nintendo was smarter, they would try to do a Bethesda, and that's not good. But and for those, and this I'm quoting from the article, if you're playing the game on PC, i.e., an emulator, you can download the patch here. So don't have, I guess. Can you do it in original hardware then? Interesting. I guess you could if you have the right software and the connection to your
you
PC.
Would have to. I would assume that means you would have to be able to pull a ROM or just have the ROM and then be able to write it back onto the cart.
Yeah. You have to modify the ROM some way. Yeah.
And of course, hope that it doesn't make it glitch or bigger than the size that the cartridge could hold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talking about updates, and probably only games that I'm talking about are going to be updates. Animal Crossing update dials back the damn bunny day eggs by Mike Fahey. For people who don't know, Animal Crossing New Horizon has been a hit. It came out about 2 weeks ago. All the cool kids are playing it, which means I'm not playing it myself. So, but it had a Bunny Day celebration. It started last week and had people collecting eggs. That the game essentially substituted all the fishing and digging and all this stuff with a lot of the stuff. Oh, I need to get some fish. You got an egg. I want to dig a hole. You got an egg. That's what would happen. And even became a meme because it was a bit too much. For those who are probably already know this, it has been dialed back. It hasn't been eliminated. It has been dialed back. So you probably get less Easter egg with your Animal Crossing. That's
I guess that game is like getting along. I've heard plenty of people at work talk about having picked it up and gotten it, and these are from people I wouldn't peg as like gamers.
it's a nice casual game that you can pick up on your less than $300 console that you can play anywhere. If you're bored at home, you just plug it on TV or just play it on your bed or something, right? It has the same vibe of playing on your phone. Because a lot of people, we don't consider gamers probably play a lot in their phones or other things, right? So it's
Yeah, and
right up your alley, right?
I think it goes back to the whole, we've brought it up before, how much the Switch like appeals to just like the average person and
Mhm.
not like hardcore gamers and stuff, and that's probably a good market to appeal to. I haven't like, just from like overhearing people and just seeing people, I haven't heard anyone at my work talk about like Doom Eternal or anything. I was like, ooh, like I'm gonna go pick up Animal Crossing, and oh hey, picked up Animal Crossing. I see people playing it where they're not supposed to,
Like
and it's like no, no Doom Eternal. It's just Animal Crossing.
different markets, with different aspects of the market, right? Doom Eternal
Yeah,
is doing fine as well. Uh, yeah, Animal Crossing being the bigger hit, which has always been Nintendo's sort of strategy, especially worldwide, right? Nintendo was the Disney of video games. Now Blizzard is the Disney of video games because uh, talking about money. Mixer gives all partner streamers $100 to help them during the COVID-19 pandemic, according to Nathan Grayson of Kotaku. Even for streamers who can comfortably do their jobs from inside their homes, streaming indefinitely, it's impossible to ignore COVID-19 before it all said and done. Everyone will be impacted. To help streamers make ends meet, Microsoft-owned Mixer has given all its partners $100.
hmm.
Twitch, hey Twitch. Okay, never mind. Just saying. Any Mixer streamer can apply to be a partner, and if they clear various viewerships and professional hurdles, they gain access to new monetization options, emotes, early access, new features, and other perks. Now, Mixer has gifted all its partners $100 to help them through these nauseating times. I guess they want to. This is a PR move, right? $100 to Microsoft is like nothing, but it feels like, hey, we are doing the right thing, right? And in many ways, it's treating their streamers more like employees in the standard sense. A
Yeah,
little, just $100 worth versus say other institutions which are doing, oh, you should do like charity streams and stuff. And we're all this together, and we're a big family, and I'm not mentioning names, gonna get kicked out for that because reasons. But hey, just it's $100. It's not that much. I'm gonna be honest, but I'm not gonna say, oh my
yeah.
god, they're giving like the entire farm. Like, oh, it's Microsoft. Microsoft can just. I mean, the CEO of Microsoft probably wipes his ass with $100 sheets of toilet paper now, right? He's not the kind of person that would say, "Oh, people are running out of toilet paper in a supermarket." We're like, really? Hmm.
I mean, I got like an email today saying that my car insurance, my company's gonna, it could is gonna give us back money, like up to potentially 15%, which isn't that much. But I mean, if it's over my like 6 month premium, it'd be like a less than 200, but more than 150, 15% ish.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, that's if I do get that like up to, which is probably not likely. I'm not sure what they're measuring it on, but I mean, that's sort of like a neat thing. It's like, well, people are driving less because they're having to stay at home, so you might as well give everyone like a little kickback, I guess, on
Less
your
accidents means
insurance.
less payoffs, less work for them. Yeah, they make money as long as people are paying their premiums and not getting into accidents. So it makes perfect sense. Yeah, I can see that. It's a good PR move. Uh, Talking about Darkest Dungeon is getting a multiplayer. This was on Friday at 9 a.m.
Hmm.
by Ethan Gotch. 4 years, the grueling dungeon crawler Dark Angels has let players suffer alone. In May, a new downloadable content will add multiplayer arena where they can suffer together. Red Hood Games announced that new content back on April 1st, but because it was a Fool's Day, everybody assumed it was a joke. Multiplayer? In my Darkest Dungeon?
I hate April Fools. It's a stupid holiday and a stupid concept. It just kind of encourages people to lie and then not take actual news seriously.
The update that's sorry.
Like Darkest Dungeon's been like one of my backlog games.
I played it, enjoyed what it was, but then it was like, literally, this game is too hard for me. Right? There goes the point with the rinse and repeat stuff. I'm like, do I really want to do this? Yeah, maybe.
I guess it's supposed to be like a dark cathartic game to just kind of get into, but yeah, I haven't had time, and I really doubt that I'm gonna see well, it's just for PC, isn't it?
No, I think it's on Switch and other platforms. Yeah.
Well, I know I have it for the Vita, but I mean the update is probably not going to be for the Vita.
No, I don't think
the
so.
Poor ignored dead console, I guess.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say it's probably no. It doesn't say. It's a DLC. So. And the update, there's no update to that. So probably at least it's gonna be on the PC minimal. This is the best way to do it. Now, talking about PR failures and putting your workers at risk, we and saying also that not only is GameStop doing this, but other stores are doing it. Instead of closing, video game retailer provides employees with bullshit coronavirus safety tips. Again, I'm quoting from the article by Ian Walker at Kotaku. Instead of providing stores with Game Exchange Corporate felt it best to send employees that amount to a chain email full of bogus prevention tactics. The device was gargling vinegar, drinking lots of water to neutralize the virus in the stomach, you see, and utilizing sunlight to remove it from clothing, which are practices that have been thoroughly run by medical professionals. Where is Game Exchange? Is that an American?
Game Exchange. That sounds familiar. It might be Game Exchange Store. Game X with an exchange. Find store. Let's type in my zip code and see what I get. Actually, I feel like I have. No, so I see Arkansas, Alabama. Yeah, so it seems to be like a Midwest
and South.
Yeah, Tennessee, Oklahoma. So it's like that middle section of the U.S.
Game Exchange employees. Wow. Spoke to Kotaku last week regarding concerns over how the company is handling the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic caused by a novel strain virus. And wow, it's just.
Yeah, so I know I saw the one for the for GameStop that essentially Massachusetts kind of had to order them to, you can't do your curbside thing anymore because you guys aren't wearing gloves, and no, your uses of plastic bags isn't good enough.
Yeah, and it gets worse because as you read down the article, one of the employees has sent an anonymous email to the CEO of the company, the Game Exchange is present like Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi. Grant Wetherill, the owner company, who responded, "I can't do anything to address your concerns if I don't know who I'm talking with." The reply reads, "I can tell whoever you are that you spent lots of time in my stores, even though I have Parkinson's disease and asthma." I can tell wherever you are, I spend lots of time on my stores, even though I have Parkinson's disease and asthma. Plus, I am 56-year-old, so I don't lecture me on risk. I'm here. You want to be an adult and talk to me. Yikes. So basically, I'm effed. Therefore, everybody's effed, right? It's the boss can take it, so why can't you? Attitude we've seen before, and not cool.
Although, I mean, at the same time, I can to play kind of devil's advocate as somebody who's considered essential, but my workplace has been doing like a pretty generous leave in order to get people to stay home if you have if you actually caught corona, or if you're taking care of somebody who has corona, or if your kids are out of school and you have to deal with them, or if you're just plain afraid. Yet there's sort of like kind of no incentive for those of us to actually stay and still show up to work every day. No talk of hazard pay yet or anything.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of unfortunate because we can't close, and it's like I'm still showing up to work and still putting myself at risk.
Yeah, pretty much.
But at the same time, I wouldn't hold it. I wouldn't, I guess, hold it against anyone who has like legitimate reasons to stay at home.
Or their job is not essential.
Yeah.
Game store, right? And we talked about that last week when we talked about GameStop, all the possibilities, all the things that happen when people will be exposed, etc. So I think it's not really worth repeating. Talk about COVID actually affecting some aspects of the game. This is from Jason Stride, The Last of Us 2. You probably heard this news, but it's worth repeating. Delayed indefinitely.
Yeah.
The much anticipated post-apocalyptic adventure game, The Last of Us 2, will be delayed indefinitely due to coronavirus pandemic. Publisher Sony today. The game, which has been previously scheduled for May 29th, is nearly done and ready to go. Nothing developed. This was a decision made for logistical economic reasons.
It might be because they're not going to be able to have their big release, like big midnight release, and have people go out to the stores and buying, which is kind of a surprise because supposedly digital sales. So I wonder if this kind of lends credence to maybe digital sales not really being that much of a difference over physical, because all these numbers as we've discussed, the gaming industry is pretty hush hush and everything about their numbers and stuff, unless it's a big number to celebrate. But I don't think we've ever seen like hard numbers in terms of like digital sales versus physical sales. So if they're willing to essentially cancel this game, or at least put off releasing this game indefinitely until they can probably have people be able to go out to the stores and physically buy this game. This kind of tells me that maybe their digital sales isn't that much of a over physical sales.
Also, I mean, we're talking about the fact that it takes a lot of money to do the physical aspect, right? It's more about the look of people. Oh, they look at the stores were full. This is it, right? It's the PR that goes in it and all the money and all the investment, right? Also, they say, oh, the game is nearly finished. But we also talked about before that usually the last 6 months of development is when the game actually gets done. You put it all together. And with a lot of games relying on day one patches and stuff like that, big games, the risk might be is like, oh, we released the game, it might be broken, fundamentally broken, and then we can't fix it because the people are working from home and they cannot, sort of rush out. We can't just lock them up in their office, go like, fix this, We
can't crunch them.
Yeah, you can't crunch them, right? So there's more to this than this. And in fact, a recent Kotaku investigation looked at the culture of crunch surrounding Naughty Dog and development of Last of Us 2. So, yeah, apparently Jason Schreier go like, he doesn't really say it this way, but it is mentioning the
Yeah.
He does mention the fact that most employees are working from home and the crunch they're in.
Yeah, and I actually just saw that that like Sony has refunded any pre-order sales from their digital market
Mhm.
if you already pre-ordered The Last of Us. They also refunded the Iron Man 2 or the Iron Man VR game as well, because I guess that one's been postponed as well. So I I think that's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, take your pre-sale money and instead of like kind of keeping your pre-sale, I guess, and just like, well,
Uh,
it'll come out whenever it'll come out.
yeah, but that may be too risky because the
W-
problem is if the game takes too long to come out, people are going to start demanding their money back, right? And you don't want that headline. People demanding money back because they're not getting
I
their
mean,
game. I mean, the
no,
hardcore players are going to wait, but other
yeah,
people who just like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick this game up and
yeah,
want to
but
use that money for something else, right?
I think it would have been just like, oh, you if for the I think it would have been interesting. I guess a middle ground would have been to be like, okay, so this game's been canceled definitely. If you still want to keep your pre-orders, keep your pre-orders, but we're open for if you want a refund, we'll give you back a refund. And
Yeah.
maybe hope that no one asks for a refund until the game comes out. I mean, if it's canceled permanently, they would have to give the money back. But
Although we have talked about companies just keeping their mouth shut and never
yeah,
giving their money back. There's
um,
that. Yeah.
but like and maybe hope like, oh well, like we tried contacting you, we couldn't refund the money because your credit card or
Oh.
was it expired already, we can't give you money back. But and we tried sending you an email once, and no, well, you didn't come back, you didn't reply, so we kept the money.
Yeah, it went to the spam folder, so whoops.
Yeah, so i I don't know, it's kind of an interesting notion that like, oh, gaming industry is actually kind of being proactive and doing something right. It's like giving pre-order money back. That's
Well, and this next, which is from Wednesday, so the day after we had a podcast, so it's a week old, basically, a little less than that, shows that not all of the video game industry
yeah.
is so. Sources, despite huge sales, Borderlands 3 developers are getting stiffed on their bonuses. By Jason Schreier, are
Ah,
not friend of the podcast. CEO of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford, told employees and bonus bonus checks will be significantly lower than they hope, according to three people who were present. He said that the game had been more expensive than expected. The company had grown significantly larger than it had been in the past and now operates a second studio in Quebec, Canada, and that their sales projections have been off base. None of which is a problem for the employees. There's managerial decisions and projections. No, Mr. Again, so very well. We expect lifetime unit sale to be record for the series, says Strauss Zelnick, CEO of 2K parent company Take Two, on an earnings calls in February, but it costs way too much to make. One large factor was the technology swap midway to development from the Unreal 3 engine to the Unreal 4 engine, which added a great deal of time to the project. In addition, before Gearbox will receive any royalties from publishers, 2K will have to recoup not just the game's entire budget, around 95 million, but also the budget for all the downloadable content for some closer to 140 million, thanks to a contract that the two companies have signed. Wow. So in other words, Gearbox doesn't get paid or get their share of the profits until they basically paid off 2K
hmm,
for funding the game in the first place. That's what I'm reading here. That's what I'm
yeah.
understanding. Yeah, so maybe because also part of the problem is that since Gearbox employees usually don't get paid as much as the average in the industry, so they rely on these bonuses. And here's the response. It has to be right out of Mr. Pitchford's keyboard. Borderlands 3 represents an incredible value to gamers and an incredible achievement by team of Gearbox Software. Translation: don't complain. Gamers don't go to bat for the developers. Support them when they need you. because you got what you wanted, and your employees should not complain because you're basically making toys here. Our studio is talent led, and we believe strongly in every chain profitability. The talent of Gearbox enjoys participation in upgrade upside of our games, to our knowledge, to the most generous royalty bonus system in AAA. When the program began, Gearbox Talents has earned over $100 million in royalty bonuses above and beyond traditional compensation. But we don't know the breakdown of the $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how much everybody gets, right? And it goes to saying that Borderlands 3 got the biggest revenue, blah, blah, blah. And of course, it goes back to the news we talked about this, including the fact that former Gearbox lawyer Wade Candler became tangled in an ugly set of lawsuits with the studio. In one suit, he alleged that Pitchford had taken a $12 million bonus in 2016 when the development started on Borderlands 3. Maybe take some of that money. I guess that's why it's one of the most generous compensation packages for the talent. If your CEO is part of the talent, I guess he's the leader. And yeah, wow. Your pitch for it. What can we say about you?
And of course, this isn't. We have to remind everyone that he allegedly embezzled some money
Among
that
other
was
things.
meant to go to as a bonuses, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, no, he's not a very good person in general.
Oh, so it has been alleged, yes.
Yes.
So we leave Gearbox behind and we go into the world of Bethesda. We're going to talk in general, but we're going to focus on the particulars of one game, which is Fallout 4. Why? Well, because it's my podcast and I want to talk about that. That's why. And particularly because I've been playing it recently, got into the game, and I played it before, but I never sort of got to the finish. Because I sort of like got sidetracked and I put mods and the mods would break the game. Like, oh, I'll play it later, and restart it, and I started again. I was having fun. Wow, I like the improvements. The graphics are a little bit better. The side quests and all that. The world of the Commonwealth is very interesting. And then I got to the part where the story really takes off. And spoilers for people who don't know about the story of Fallout 3. Literally the story as it develops. And in that story, essentially, you start as a man from the past. The day you start the day the world ends. The bombs are gonna fall. You're with your spouse and your child. You run to the vault. You get frozen. Then sometime later, you don't know how much later, which kind of becomes important to the plot. People get into the vault from the outside, take your child, your less than a year old child, and kill your spouse and leave. And then you wake up some other time later and escape the vault, with your mission being to find Sean, your son, and perhaps avenge your spouse. And I say your spouse because you can play as a male or female character, and the other spouse is the one that gets killed. That is supposed to create a strong emotional connection, a sense of why you should follow the story and do the things the story demands. You do, until you actually get to find out who's behind the kidnapping institute, the baddie supposedly. Go there, it's like, oh, I'm here, and this looks interesting. Then you meet father, who happens to be son, your son, and he's supposed to be around 60 years old, and the architect of everything happened to you up to this point, and from your second awakening, and you're like, and that's the point where I went, oh yeah, the wheels came off the trolley there. Yikes. Because what just happened? Right?
Yep.
And to other people say, well, that's the story, right? It makes sense within the story. There's some foreshadowing, there's some planting, etc., as done in movies. You get some hints along the way, etc. Things are not the way you think they are. Blah blah blah. It makes sense. Like, yeah, but the story sets out. First of all, there's two things. The story sets a series of expectations. That this is a mission about rescuing your child, right? And then it says, literally, your child is gone. Because if you think about it for a second, the man that you're talking to is a 60-year-old man who was raised by the Institute. The only connection you have to them is biological, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, this has been the person who has been behind everything that's happened, that you've been told that it's gone wrong. So now you discover that your son is older than you are, literally, because you're, 200 years old, but figuratively speaking. And he is the evil bad guy. And as you play along, you also realize there's no way to convince him otherwise to change his ways. Which are not, at least from my point of view, not very good. Because he has been instrumental in literally creating a slave race of synthetics, of human cyborg, machine hybrids, who want to be free, many of them, right? But serve as slaves to the Institute, so the Institute can keep on going, doing whatever they are. And usually are the things behind a lot of the machinations behind the Institute, and all the nastiness that they've done in the surface. But he's like, no, we're fine. We're basically in a cult, and I'm the leader of the cult. That's why they call me father, right? And oh, good, I want you to be a member of the cult. And you're like, I don't want to do that. Okay, so I don't want to do that. And then you realize that almost all the factions, the way they're set up is that you have to sort of bind fully in the faction. So in a way, they become mutually exclusive. You can do other missions for other factions. You're not really stopped. But from a narrative perspective, it's like, comes the point where it's like either you do what we told you, or I guess you have to kill us.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I don't want to kill you, right? Could there be any options, etc.? And there is a sort of a good ending that requires you to, not do certain missions, and but it's not very well signposted. And the thing is that Fallout 4 is a good game. It reminds me to a lesser extent of Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5, the story outright ruined that game, because it's like the story basically turns around and says you wasted $60 and spent 20 plus hours playing this game and decided that you're gonna lose no matter what. Like, okay, so it's a waste of time. I had fun, but the journey was great, but the destination. And oh, by the way, it has one of the creepiest, and not creepy as like ghoulies or snakes, or you're afraid of. No, we're talking about sexually intimidating assault type endings I have witnessed and experienced in a video game. I felt personally, well, virtually, I guess, assaulted. There's no physical violence really shown on screen, but the implications are there, and I'm like, not that they haven't done it before, because if you play, for example, 3, there's a scene that just happens, and it's done within the context of you being a male, being forced into sex with a woman, and to a lot of people, ironically, when I played it, I kind of felt that was like, oh wow, I'm having this sex scene. But then when you think about it, it's like, I was never given a choice here, right? So the writers of Far Cry have a thing about consent. Apparently, they don't understand the term when it comes to narrative. That's not, as far as I'm concerned, that's not the problem with Fallout 4. So kudos to Fallout 4 for not doing that. You can, in fact, win the game, and you kind of have the ability to ignore the main storyline. But unlike Fallout 3, and that's another thing, it's like, this is the conflict with this is all Ludo narrative dissonance, right? The Ludo imperative, which is, go out into the Commonwealth, explore, find resources, build your sanctuary, build your settlements, etc. Which I found a lot of fun, even though it's kind of repetitive.
Yes,
because you have to go to the same place, and we want you to. No, it's not. A new settlement needs help. I got no problem with that. I'll help them. It's like, but they need you to go to the same place you went like 3 times before and kill the same ghouls in the same place. It's like,
yeah,
I already did that. So,
Or oh hey, so and so from this settlement got kidnapped. Or it's sometimes like that too. It's like, oh, it's either, oh, this group of monsters or bandits is attacking us. Oh no, they kidnapped one of our people,
go
members of
rescue, yeah.
this settlement. Go rescue them.
Yeah. Which again, in the moment to moment is not bad, although sometimes it's ridiculous because literally I done like put like 20 or 30 turrets around this place, right? That will attack anything that breathes wrong at them, and yet somehow they manage to get in and kidnap this person.
Kidnap somebody.
Yeah. But that's the thing. The other thing is like when you start doing the quests. Okay. Oh, so I'm gonna go and do quests for other factions. Well, again, the quests are either the mainland quest, which quickly, within one or two quests, is like pledge your loyalty to us or else, right? And they don't. It's not like, oh well, hey, listen, I'm the general of the Minutemen, and we have this thing in common. Can we cooperate? It's like, nope. It has to be us or them or us. And like, not all of them will try to kill each other, but there's a push to that. Like you have to sort of wipe out everybody else, which doesn't seem to fit what you're trying to do from a gameplay perspective. And so it closes down those things, right? Like the game actively encourages you to not play the main storyline. In Skyrim and in Fallout 3, it was like I just gonna ignore this, and whenever I feel I want to finish the game, I just do it. But once the first time you do it, it's fine. It's a cool story. It has its own problems, but it's a pretty cool story. And after that, it's like, well, I just want to go over there and explore it. So yeah, my dad can just stay where he's safe, where I left him. Don't worry about it.
My dad ran off somewhere. I don't care.
Yeah, I already saved him. I know what's gonna happen.
He's an adult. He can take care of himself.
Yeah,
that's the difference between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. It's that my dad's an adult. He can take care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, oh no, my baby got kidnapped, and
the baby
can't take care of himself. Who knows what they're gonna want him?
Yeah.
Well, no, I guess that's the other difference too. My dad himself went out to do something, versus my baby was kidnapped and forcefully taken, and who knows what devious plant they want with them.
And that's the thing about planting and the payoff, right? Foreshadowing and the payoff is that in Fallout 3, for example, when you do the thing, okay, I'm going to find out. It's all part of the same mystery, right? It's sort of like, okay, my dad went and got out of the vault, and I'm in the vault because of things that happened with the thing my dad was working on. And he got out of the vault because he got information that said that could help him do that. And he left me in the vault because he cares about me. It's like, no, I'm gonna do this for myself, but you stay safe. It doesn't work out because people run.
They freak out. They freak out and turn against you.
Yeah, so there's that. And they have their reasons, kind of, mostly because they're morons. And you go out in the world and you discover different factions, stuff like that. And one can argue that the Enclave, which are the bad guys, never has a quest line to begin with.
No.
So it's like
they just show up.
So they're bad guys. So it's like, okay, I just take care of the bad guys, right? And that's another cool thing about Fallout 4. When you go to the other storylines, actually some very cool sideline storylines you kind sort of trip into. Like there's one where you meet these people that are from a DLC from Fallout 3, and the rest of the family, and it's like, wait a minute, you're alive and you're here, and this place looks actually clean as opposed to everything else, and you actually have resources, and it's like an artifact and a Cthulhian thing going on, and it's like, oh, this is fun, right? Or you do some of the personal quest, like Nick Valentine's personal quest, and it's like, oh, this guy who's buried in this vault, okay, let's do that. That's pretty fun. And people who might remember my lessons learned videos on YouTube about Dragon Age 2, you're a fucking hypocrite about what you're about to say. Because one of the things I said about Dragon Age 2 was it was too bad that the NPCs, the party members, were not tied to different factions. Where here you do have a lot of NPCs that are tied directly to some factions, which is great. Except because of the sort of mutually exclusive nature of the factions, you can't really fully explore their quest lines, not all of them, but some of them, so like Paladin Dance and something like that, without sort of fully immersing yourself in that faction, saying, okay, fuck everybody else, I'm gonna be in this run. I'm gonna be a paladin of steel. Fuck the Minutemen. Fuck whatever. I'm not gonna help them, right? And that again, I consider it to be bad narrative design, because that's the kind of thing. Some of these, it kind of makes sense from a writing perspective. If you're writing the story of the Brotherhood of Steel, how they behave is fairly consistent. The Institute fairly behaves in a fairly consistent manner. Everybody sort of behaves in a very consistent manner. So the writing is not necessarily horrible per se. I mean, it's logical, internally consistent, and logical, and I like that.
It's internally consistent.
But it's as a narrative design, as part of a larger game design, it defeats a lot of the setup, right? It's like I should be going to these actions because I want to help them, right? And they should be sort of back and forth, like, oh, I help you and make things better, a little bit better, or you help me with an enemy, right? It should have been an option to be able to, okay, I'm going to side with you guys and fuck everybody. That should be an option. But it shouldn't be the only way to do things.
So, and here's the thing I think about now. Why do aside from the Institute, what investment does the other factions have in what this protagonist, the Frozen Man?
I think, except the Minutemen, because they're the people who discover you, you help them out.
Yeah.
It's just not that strong. I mean, you would think, for example, the Brotherhood is like, oh, you're a vault dweller. Somebody who literally remembers the world before the bombs, right?
Yeah.
You're an incredible asset. Oh, we're going to treat you like just a standard soldier. Grunt,
it's like, right? Holy crap, it's like, oh, hey, you can probably tell us what some of this tech is. And it's not even, you're not just like some random schmo either. You're a soldier who has used power armor, who has handled these weapons, so you must know, you might know more than we could ever hope to learn.
Yeah. Oh, you were part of the Battle of Alaska, right? The big engagement. Could you tell us about the way these armor was developed and deployed and whatever, right? There's I'm going a little blurry. There's a lot of things that they just missed, right? But you can tell that when the game, the narrative design is designed to be played, right, for the game, it has some cool adventures, and you have like Nuka-Cola thing, the DLC, and the Far Harbor stuff, and the mysteries, and and you have like there's a story about the guy who wants to sort of be a vigilante, right? And it's like the Shroud,
the Silver Shroud. I like that one.
And you find you find like cool things. Like you go into this Hobie Studios, which are the sort of like DC/Marvel of this universe, and you look around and you find the Shroud and the monsters and the writing, and you're like, oh, this is awesome, right? And there's so much cool in there. It's like,
I like the robots in the ship, in the recreation ship that's stuck on top of the building.
That's a pretty cool storyline. You defend the ship against the enemies and all that. It has all those elements, but again, it suffers from writing for itself or believing that the game is there to deliver a story.
Yeah, right? And like the one thing that I couldn't really get into very much, and I'm not sure if you had the same problem, are any of the companions. Like, were you able to get into any of them?
Like, I got into them, Piper. I really like Piper and her situation, right? Although her problem is that once you sort of romance her, if you choose to romance her, that's it. Like, oh, she's your companion. That's it. Nick had I did the entire storyline for Nick in a previous playthrough, and that was pretty cool. Paladin Danse, kind of liked him, but he's like the Dan. I'm a paladin. I'm a rightful person, whatever. And yeah, he's a bit extremist because he's part of the whole thing. And I do know more about his storyline, about who he really is. So that's a cool thing. But again, you have to sort of convince him to lead the Brotherhood and either destroy the Brotherhood, whatever. So it becomes, it's like, why should I do that? It could be a great ally, a member of the Brotherhood who's helping me doing things. I mean, why not cooperate with the Minutemen side by side, right? I mean, they want to make things easier. Like, well, yeah, we got the firepower, we got the experience, but you guys are on the ground, so hey, let's cooperate, right? You're the general of the thing, right? Okay, that's pretty cool, right? Bring Paladin down to like, oh wow, you managed to rebuild this place and build these weapons. Sure, it's primitive compared to what we have, but you know, he might be condescending. I can get that. There's one McGrady. I didn't like McGrady because he's like he took the idea of the little kid who is a jackass and to admit it. Not don't it's a jackass. I made all these bad decisions. And like, it's like okay, who you?
It's in there. Yeah.
There's Kate, who is also like the female version of McGreedy, but she's like a.
I was gonna say
drunkard.
it's Jack or something. It's essentially
it's Jack. It's Jack from Mass Effect,
Mass
but
Effect.
slightly less interesting. There is Curie, who is it's late game and you have to because it's a half a set and you have to you can't have a real body and all that. So I haven't talked to her.
I've seen her. Yeah, I didn't discover that one either, but I did see my husband play a little bit of like he played with her as a companion, and her quest line seemed actually interesting.
I love I mean, this DLC storyline of the Mechanist was pretty awesome, right? This sort of this idea, and it actually delves again uses narrative elements that are pretty cool. Like you go into this underground facility where the U.S. Army shows up that they're a bunch of assholes going to use the spoilers. I don't know this. Spoilers. Watching the VOD, spoilers. They use the brain of prisoners into these robots because they want to create an army of robots to fight the Chinese, right? And of course, she then decides to reuse those parts in order to sort of bring justice to the wasteland. And well, the robots are crazy anyway, so they misunderstand orders and start killing people, which kind of can happen, right? It's like, okay, I get it, you know. And she's like, I'm so sorry. It's like I couldn't kill her. I was like, okay, get it. I probably killed a bunch of people I didn't. Well, right. And there's a story about which has the voice of Garrus, the actor. He does a lot of voices in the game, but this one is about a young kid who wants leave, gets away from home, joins the Raiders because he wants to help his family. It kind of makes sense a little bit. He's like a young punk that doesn't know what he's doing, and he's just sort of desperate to find his place in the world, and then gets told up by moms like, "You two, you better yourselves out." So the writers clearly have talent.
I was
So
gonna
there's
say
some good
there's
writing
one,
here.
I was gonna say there's one more companion. There's Hancock.
There's Hancock, but I leave Hancock alone because it's like
he feels superfluous.
He's running his city good. So it's like, why am I gonna recruit this guy? This guy's doing his thing. I don't like going to the mayor of Chicago. Like, hey, listen, lady, I'm gonna go into a dangerous mission in the middle of Wisconsin. Would you care to join me? I'm like, but I'm running this city of Chicago. Okay, here, I'm a shotgun. Let's go, right? Oh, there's Cosworth.
Oh, yeah.
Cosworth actually made me tear up. And it's one of the few times where the main story, and although I would have wished, it kind of acknowledges and it plays to the strengths of the setup of the whole story, in that you lost your family and stuff like that. He's like, oh my God, I've been so lost. I spent 200 years here, waiting and trying, and I'm just a robot, and I can't die. I can't commit suicide. I just exist, right? And that to me is like, I wish I could bring Cosworth to the institute. Like, listen, this is a living, intelligent being. He's metal, and has a flamethrower, and it's like a floating light bulb thingy. But he is more human than you piece of shit. You claim to be my son, right? More human than most people here, at least more sentient, more caring, right?
The dog is probably more human than
the dog, and you meet the dog early on as well. I actually kept the dog in Sanctuary because I was like, I don't want to see the dog getting hurt.
I like that. Yeah, I left my dog with my man harem. My mare harem settlement.
Yeah, and so it's a little things like, and that's another thing is like, if the story was about the Institute just be bad and they're trying to convince you to get into the cult, there are other ways to do it. And I think this suffers from the problem of trying to make things, and this is not unique to video games, but video games emulate it because they see it in other formats, right? Trying to make things too personal. right?
Hmm.
Oh, we're gonna establish this relationship with your spouse, right? Which, by the way, if you can be, they actually there seems to be even a gay couple, even in the opening of like a lesbian couple. When you run out there, like, oh my god, we're gonna die. And so apparently in the 2077s, I've been retro 50s, but nobody cares about your sexuality. So why have your spouse be of the opposite sex? You know,
Yeah.
necessarily, right? You didn't
And
get to
I
choose
wish,
that.
I wish there was like more involvement with your spouse too. Like,
Yeah.
other than your spouse just kind of exists to die.
Well, yeah,
Beginning.
she or he or she, and we play both the male characters. So I say she in this case. She got literally fridged, right?
Yeah.
For the purpose of like, I'm gonna get revenge, and oh, they took my son, so double whammy, right? It's supposed to make it very personal, but I would imagine that it would have been you could have done a Robinson Crusoe family kind of thing, right? Because just being a person out of time, especially with a spouse and a young child, like we need shelter, we need to survive. That by itself would have been extremely powerful. And
I
have
mean,
a mechanic to switch back and forth between them. If you're gonna go with a binary marriage, right?
yeah.
Might
Or
as
hell,
well.
even make it, well, like, you know what? I don't think things are working out. I think I'm more interested in the school over here.
Yeah,
Like, oh,
whatever,
okay,
right?
honey.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, they can go distant. Well, like, oh, we're, the world's very different. We're different people. I don't hate you or anything, but you stay over here and we'll be friends, whatever. Or maybe friends with privileges, and there's a lot of things that could have been done with that story. And talking about now Fall 76, that also would have been a perfect place to have like multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh, these other players, and it has to be like a bunch of multiplayers, like say 2 to 4, like either 2 or 4 people, no more than 4. They're all frozen, and you all wake up, right? I mean, the fact that you got lied to by Vaultic, oh, we're gonna decontaminate you, and then you got frozen in this experiment. Have a little bit more in the vault when you realize they're just lying, like they did in Fallout 3 when you find out all these logs and the computers and all that, like they were lying. Like, oh, we were part of an experiment and the world is gone. And ironically, and this goes to people who said there's not a lot of role playing. I kind of believe it, not in the way people are like, well, you gotta have the choices that you had like in the original game, where if you played a very dumb character, you have like secret, you know, things that were basically just goodies, right? They were not really that important.
Yeah.
It wasn't really role playing. It was more like, oh, you made intelligence or whatever your dump
Your
stat,
lowest stat.
so we're gonna throw in a line there that says that, oh, you can talk to
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? Which is cool, but it's more like a Easter egg than actual role playing, because you can't do that all the time. Most of the time, if you have like very low stat, you're hampered. You can't do things. You don't have dialogue options. You don't. But people don't remember that. People remember the few moments when it actually kind of paid off.
Doop doop.
Yeah, especially when low intelligence or low charisma stat or whatever. But here it's like, maybe the main character doesn't really get a chance to be somebody. Again, they don't get developed as a person from the past, right? Who
Yeah.
has real opinions of what happens in the past. Like, hey, yes, I was a soldier, but I hated the war, and my government was just a fascist, neo-fascist future government thing, was exploiting its own people, right? And was putting their trust in corporations, and look what happened to me. Or I'm a uber duper, I'm a hero. I'm gonna rebuild the United States of America all by myself. Yes, sirree, right? Or anything, but none of that really gets acknowledged. Maybe once or twice, maybe like, oh, I served my country once, and people are like,
Yeah.
oh, you served what country? There's a point. There's a line in the railroad where you literally say, I served my country once. I pledged, and the other person will go like, well, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, lady, do you realize that you're living in a world without countries, right? And this person has never told you that they are old enough to remember when there was a country, right? That doesn't. Oh, that's something people say.
So the only thing you can chalk that up is that ghouls exist, so they're like pre-war ghouls, so they might be like, oh, I remember my day.
Yeah,
But I
well,
feel
this is
that's
like a
flimsy. Yeah.
non-ghoul living,
Yeah,
breathing 30 some.
Yeah, but that's a very flimsy excuse at best and explanation. It and it's it. I think the problem was is that they try to go with like a. I think they try to please everyone by having a somewhat defined character, but then you can sort of role play in any way you want, but not really. It does it does both things, but it does neither of them very good, so it turns out to be very bad. You
Yeah.
have a character with a pre-established back history, so you don't have this blank slate. You have the voice acting, and you have the limited dialogue, so you don't have this long laundry list of choices that you can make and
Mhm.
have people respond to. But at the same time, you can play the game as however you want. It's non-linear, kind of, and you can go your own way or build your different stats.
And it also shows what you spend your money on, because one of the features that they tout was that when you meet Cothworth for the first time, the voice actor recorded like 200 or 300 versions of
Names.
names, including like swearing them, like, oh, welcome back, Mr. Titty, you know. And it's like, okay, so they recorded that line with a
Yep,
straight face for anybody who was going to write Titty in a specific way, because if they write it wrong, they won't be, they won't recognize it. It will say, oh, master or miss or something, and they won't recognize the name. So
Yeah, it wouldn't read my like Caesar. You don't have Caesar in there.
yeah. I mean,
You've had a character named Caesar before.
I put my name at 9 inches. Not saying much. So it's I find Fallout 4 to be a lot of missed opportunities, right?
Yeah, like if it was fun. I really got into building the settlements and exploring, but when it came to the story, it's like, ugh. And then I kind of eventually there's a bunch of characters that I just skipped because I'm like, yeah, okay,
Mhm.
because some of them are tied with the story, like Nick and Piper. You don't meet. I don't think I ever went to the city at all.
Hmm.
I ended up skipping out on all of them.
The
So
city's pretty cool. I mean, the city as it
un-
goes, yeah.
until like my when I towards the end of my playthrough, when I wrapped up the entire story, I just kind of breezed through it. So I didn't actually explore
Hmm.
the city at all. I just went there because the plot told me to, and then never saw those characters again because I'm like, well, I'm just wrapping this my playthrough up completely and just seeing where the story goes and how bad it is. And
Hmm.
mm,
Oh,
yeah,
I modded my game. My game has like I can make like video games consoles, and I
yeah,
put video game consoles in my house, so I can go and play on the video game console. Like, not playing my Pip-Boy, but take the tape and play it on the console itself, like the video game arcade machine, beds and flushing toilets. And I mean, that's a lot of fun, right? The fact that you can mod the game and do all these things, that's the strength of the game. And ironically, I think they got a lot of criticism from the story Fallout 3, and they wanted to make a more sophisticated story, perhaps, right?
they kind of try. They also try to copy New Vegas with the factions and
Oh,
everything.
which is a mistake, because that's one of the problems. The factions in New Vegas don't really work, and they're kind of mutually exclusive. Although you, from the get go, you know that you have to make basically. I will give this to New Vegas. They will basically tell you they're mutually exclusive from the get go, right? You want to go with the New California Republic, and clearly you cannot, go with,
With
with
the Legion.
the Legion, because they're a bunch of assholes. Who the hell wants to make any sense, right? It's more, but even then, the faction system has a faction system doesn't work, because even when you help the factions, like, for example, I recruited ex Enclave, so no, not I recruited. I couldn't recruit for some reason ex Enclave soldiers, because I couldn't get to the point. Although I knew they were there, but I recruited Brotherhood of Steel soldiers, which you can't do here, by the way. You can't recruit one faction to help you another. At least you can do that in New Vegas. I recruited them, and were like, "Why did you bring these assholes?" I'm like, and I lost points. It's not somebody like, "Okay, we need their help, whatever, right? We'll take it." Like, Lady, I brought you like a platoon worth of elite soldiers with power armor and heavy weapons, and I lost points. You're gonna take them. They're gonna fight beside you because I convinced them to do that. But you actually lost points with you
Because I don't like them.
because I don't like them. I'm like, then say no, send them away or something like, or make it so role playing. Maybe I get to convince you that maybe they're good for you, right? So it's like, yeah, New Vegas faction system is bunked. So I don't know how to copy that, right? I like
Do
building.
it work somehow.
I like modifying weapons. I like the shops and all the workshops and all like that. That was pretty cool. Making grenades, making this, making a 4-barrel rocket launcher, a 3-barrel, 3 nuke Batman and all that. I love that. But yeah, I mean, and then they went and make Fallout 76, which talk about oh, we went this way, it doesn't work, let's go the opposite direction, more of this, and like
no NPCs.
no, except for
Make your own
robots.
story up.
Yeah, which works for the people. Actually, people actually are playing Fallout 76 and loving it, but some people, yeah, some people. So yeah, that's our take on it. Sometimes a bad story can be welded to a relatively good game, and you still enjoy it in spite of it. So my take on it is that Fallout 4 is a good game, just has bad narrative design. That's my take on it. And so folks, designers out there, if you're listening, you're not, but if you will, write for your games, write for the player, player agency. Be one with the force. We see you. Where we can find you, Chapelmon, on the interwebs.
You can find me at Chapelmon pretty much everywhere. I am Chapelmon_Aragon on Twitch and Twitter, but I primarily hang out on YouTube under Chapelmon.
And of course, you can find me here, podcast now on Tuesdays, 2 o'clock. Also, I'm still playing Siege of Dragonspear. Hopefully, I can finish that this week. I was a bit confused this morning because I don't know what I was doing. The DLC is not as good as the parent game, but I got Nira back. And Nira back, yay! But aside from that, we're just playing. So thank you, ready for coming. As always, we'll see you and we'll see you. Bye, everybody.